Walter William Frederick Lindemann, my uncle, was born February the 6th, 1907, and he was baptized March 1907. He was the oldest child of Otto and Ella Lindemann. Art and Willard came next before my mother, Rose Lily Violet Lindemann, and the baby of the family was Violet Mildred Mabel Lindemann. In 1915, he received a library diploma and then another diploma in 1922 at the age of 15 years. He was confirmed in the English Lutheran Church at 1926 at the age of 19 years old. Now, Walter never married, but from his letters he did have many girlfriends over the years. He was a loner, and he traveled wherever there was work on the farms or in construction. When we were young kids, he used to play Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. My grandparents and my parents and my cousins would all attend the Christmas Eve church service, and then they're at our house for the celebration. Walter would disappear downstairs into the basement, where my dad had conveniently placed a bottle of 4 roses in the rafters to keep him warm while he got into his costume. And then another knock on the front door meant that Santa was there. He would come in the house dressed in the Santa costume that my mother had made for him, and we'd all scatter behind the couches and the chairs, and he'd laugh, and then he'd leave his bag full of toys. Walter played the violin and the banjo, probably self-taught. And I remember one evening when I was about 10 or so, we were at Grandpa Lindemann's house in Lake Benton with a lot of company, including Francis Lindemann, who was Frank Lindemann's son. Walter played the violin, I played the piano, and Francis, who had his own radio show, played the accordion. I was so nervous, and I certainly couldn't measure up to them, but they made me feel very important, playing whatever it was that we played. Grandpa had a player piano, so after I played a couple of songs, we put the player rolls in, and then I pumped that old piano, and they played along with much better success, I imagine. He was quite the character, as it will show in the following letters. In 1930, he was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He writes, "Sister Rosie, I suppose that you will be a teacher when you finish school. I showed your picture to the guys here at the boarding house, and they said they'd pay for your fare if you'd come up here. Ha ha ha. How are you getting along with your boyfriends, the Swede and the Dane? I'm making 47 cents an hour. I'll write soon." Then in 1931, he was in Lake Benton. Hard luck stories is all you hear nowadays. I was just interrupted by a knock on the door. Some goof want Art to go to a dance. Fancy that. I went to a show this afternoon. It was the first show I've seen since I left Iowa. The show was held at the Lake Benton $1 Million Opera House Auditorium and Theater, and the feature attraction was Joe E. Brown in Going Wild. Gosh, I think I'll go crazy soon if I don't find something to do. I play on my banjo, and then I take my fiddle, and when I get tired of that, I play the phonograph. I saw Grandpop the other day, and he said hello, and he kept on walking. Another letter in 1933, Jackson, Minnesota. We have 17 cows to milk, 100 hogs to feed, 125 beef cattle to take care of, and in between acts, we cook our meals, make the bed, sweep the floor, wash the dishes, and scrub. I get $15 a month here in the summer and my board in the winter, so you see I'm amply provided for. 1938, Jackson, Minnesota, he said, I had a perfectly punk time on New Year's. I missed out on my New Year's Eve brawl or ball or just going out to a swell dinner and was bored to tears the whole evening. Never again will I have social ambitions on New Year's Eve when I can go to a dance. January 1940, Sonomas, Washington. My old Ford went haywire and I had to fix it. Well, I didn't have much time to work on it, but I think I have it in pretty good shape now. I had to put 2 rods in and the main bearing, and the others were so loose I could play Yankee Doodle Dandy on the crankshaft. Well, I'm sticking away here in the same old place, Chino Valley, Arizona, 1941, but I guess I'm getting along all right. At least I get 3 meals every day. I might try to get a job in the mines after a while, as they're starting to hire some men pretty soon, only I am lacking in experience, so it may be kind of tough, but I may have to be at least a good liar and have an honest face to get in. I'll try it. February 1941, Chino Valley, Arizona. Well, I went to town in Prescott yesterday to get my examination for the Army. They hold it at the country clinic in Prescott, and there were about 25 of us to go through it. It sure was fun while it lasted, as a lot of them were cowboys from around here who don't like the idea of going into the army and being afoot without a horse. I won't know yet for a few days how I came out, but I did pretty well anyway. Only 2 things wrong with me that I know of so far. My eyes were not so good, and I've got flat feet. So they told me I'd make a good cop, but I just don't think I'm dumb enough. Well, I sure hope I make the grade. I think I will, if they're not too particular. April 1941, Phoenix, Arizona. Well, I got this far all right, and I guess by the looks of things that I am now a soldier. Only I don't have a uniform yet. There's about 120 of us using this barracks. They're going to send us away tonight to Texas or somewhere. I'll write when I get there. Walt. So you see, his letters were really fun to read. Now, Walter worked for my dad at the Maplewood Poultry Farm in Barnum when we lived there, and of course in Tyler too. But when he lived with us in the family house, there were a few Saturday nights that were quite late, I think. And he might have had a little hard time climbing the stairs, but he was always on the job on time, always helped around the house when he was needed. I think it was kind of nice for Mom to have her brother staying with us at that time. Uncle Walter was special to all of us when we were young, especially when he came home to visit from the army and cross his knees and let us ride his tall boots like a pony ride, getting our diapers full of boot grease. He was stationed at Fort Bliss in the cavalry in Texas, saved the Christmas menu from 1941. Then I was surprised to see that he was a sergeant in the Army at the 340th Military Police Escort Guard Company prisoner of war camp in Roswell, New Mexico in 1943. And he kept his Thanksgiving dinner menu. Well, my submission is that everyone should have an Uncle Walter. He's another one of the good guys.